What is up, you guys? It is Jake State Farm here with Atomic Theory, hopping into some 3+1 against Zachabiller. This is the guy that just took me down in the 5 amateurs versus 1 pro, and he says he's got some trap here at H4. Says he's been studying something for me here, so let's see what it is. I think Bishop B4 has just got to be the move, right? Knight B4 runs into Knight F6, takes Queen H5, G6, Queen C5, Bishop C5, Knight C3, B5, Knight E4, and then I can play something like D6, followed by F5. No, I can't. He's threatening Knight F6 and Knight C5 there, right? Because I've already... So I think Knight B4 just loses after all of that. Yeah, Knight B4, let's make sure I grab this. Knight F6. I can't take with pawn because of Queen H5. So Knight B4, Knight F6 takes. Queen H5, G6, Queen C5, Bishop C5, Knight C3. And I guess I don't have to defend this because then I could go Queen H4 myself. So maybe I would just play D5. I'm going to go for it. I think he'll go Knight F6 and then I can take. No, he goes Queen F3 instead. So all of that was just dead wrong. I'm seeing the trap. Now he has Knight G7. But let's see what he's got here. He can't go Queen G3. It's probably got to be G3. It looks like I probably fell for the trap here. This is not great. I definitely can't take this pawn, obviously. So I think it has to be Queen H5. And after here and takes, he can just go like A3 and he'll be up quite a bit of material, actually. So I don't know how I fell for that. I considered Queen F3, but I didn't fully consider everything he could do with it there. I should have known that Knight B4. My initial reaction was play Bishop B4, C3, and maybe something like G6. It's probably the best way to play, because then Knight G7, King F8, and I should be totally okay there. But it's not over yet. I definitely don't want to allow him to open up this G file, so let's just go ahead and go F3. And we'll go G5, H6, G6, and then Rook G1 trying to get here, so got to be very quick. And I'm trying to think the best way to put pressure. I guess just going Bishop A6. The king's going to move anyway. Rook G1, and it's not looking great. Dude's ruining my videos, and he's stealing my rating points, man. What is he not doing? There's just no way to stop Rook G6 here. That's interesting. I don't think this is winning at all, but it's weird that he wouldn't just take my bishop. Seems like the simplest way, because there's some threats of Knight D3, but I don't think it matters at all. So we'll play it just in case he blunders with C takes, but I'm expecting to just see bishop takes here, and at that point I'm completely screwed here. Alright, he takes game 1. I don't know why I didn't just play what was... I knew the trap was probably that Knight B4 was wrong, but I thought I had calculated it all out. I'm going to be playing my new opening that he hasn't seen yet. I've only played it a few times, but I like the positions that I've gotten from it. It's to go Knight H3 followed by Knight C3, and then after the move E6, to play pawn to D4. And normally after E6, you play E3. But this is a cool trap that he's got there, and I would be curious to see the numbers on it. Maybe it's a trap that's actually working quite well. The inspiration for this opening is that a lot of times I was going Knight C3, E6, D4, and then I realized that the position, if you start with Knight H3 and H6, is not really that bad. And as you can see, so the main move here is D5, and this is going to transpose after Bishop to E2. This transposes into a position that I'm still very new to, but a lot of top players have started to play this opening. You start with, normally it starts Knight H3, H6, E4, E6, D4, D5, Knight C3. And then a lot of times as black, you don't really want to play bishop to B4 because then it allows bishop E2, and then you reach this position where basically white's plan is very clear and black's plan is not. Already, I'm threatening knight to B5. Of course, that would black could play bishop E1, and after king H1, something like C6, knight C7, king F8, and now you're attacking this. And if you push, there's maybe some like E2, bishop G3 threats. So you have to play this move king to H1. And now, if something like F4, I would just play knight to B5. And F3, it's just bishop takes F3. And white's doing totally fine there. Here in this position, the best move is pawn to C4. There's actually this really nice idea here. If black continues with pawn to F4, then there's queen A4. And after B5, queen A3, I believe it is. I'm trying to remember the exact theory here. Yeah, I think it's queen A3, and after B4, queen A5. Putting pressure here. And yeah, it's a very nice line. I'm trying to remember why you go queen A3 first and why not just coming here first. Maybe it allows something like queen E7. Whereas now, if they go queen E7, maybe there's some queen B5. Okay. Best move is just to allow taking on c7, but why is this not losing? I need to figure out. Maybe I have just bishop g4 here. And I mean, yeah, not quite sure why you have to go queen a3 and then queen a5. I know that's the right way to play it, but I don't really know why. I just know that I've looked at this and that's what the computer said to play, so that's what I'm playing. Okay, now either rook e1 or maybe just e takes d5, and maybe we're seeing the power of why it's nice to force out this move b4, because then there's ideas of queen e5 here. Although even then it's not too great, so maybe I'll just start with the rook to e1. Now after takes, I'm threatening something that should takes e6. And I mean, just very easy to play. Still no knight c6, right? Okay, that move is actually really strong, because after takes, he would have takes and h3, because I've got to stop this threat. So that move's actually really annoying. I guess I'm just taking here. But that is a really good move, actually. I mean, now he needs to keep this bishop on the board. You know, he wants to keep bishop e6 ideas alive. And even knight f6 takes knight e4, queen f2, then there's like queen e4, g7. So really this bishop has to stay here. And the nice thing is this pawn staying here is keeping any knight c6 ideas off the board, which is pretty nice. I'm realizing if I had started with this, knight c6 probably would have been a really strong move, so I'm glad I played rook e1 instead. Okay, this is another way to try to defend it, but I think I just have takes. Right, I obviously can't take here because then there's just bishop takes g2, but I think I just have takes, and I mean, if it goes knight f6, takes, knight e4 takes, and I'm totally fine. And if he doesn't go knight f6, he's going to be losing the queen one way or the other here. But really smart. Oh, so now knight f6 is actually potentially really strong because he's threatening knight g4 in the process. Okay, but he doesn't go for it. Yeah, knight f6 would have been probably the best move because after takes knight e4, now he's threatening to take on f2. I mean, I do have like bishop 8 with ideas of rook e1, but would have definitely been the scariest way for him to play that, I think. Yeah, here, knight f6, knight g5, knight g4, I just have h3, and I'll be totally fine. I'm sure he'll go knight f6. Yeah, my king on h1. I don't care if he takes here at all. Probably just to sack the bishop here if he tries to get the rook out. Yeah. All right. See if he wants to play a couple more here. He does. Okay. I think I'll go for h6, and I think I'll just play bishop b4 this time. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm gonna just go knight c6 here. This is my favorite way to play. Okay, let's go bishop b4 this time. I think this is the right move, and then I think it's got to be g6, knight g7, and king f8, and I think I'm okay there. I mean, actually too bad having the king on f8. Yeah, too bad at all. Having potential for this rook to stay on this h file, and I mean here, its main threat would be to come to e8, right, putting pressure on c7. But he had to play d4 because if you start with knight e8, maybe there's some like knight d4, and then getting the queen out. So d4 is a good move. Now I'm thinking just knight f6. We may see f3. We may also see knight takes e6, which I'd be totally happy with. Then I would continue with d5, and now my bishop's really happy. But if f3, that's something I'm a bit worried about. I'm not sure what to do after f3. Again, knight e8's a pretty big threat because it's putting pressure on c7. Okay, so good to know the position is equal. It's good to know that I guess I found the refutation. I mean, in this position, there's really no move other than g6. I mean, the only other move you could consider was knight to d4, which maybe has some merit to it. I mean, you can't take here because I'm going knight c2. And, I mean, then I have queen h4, g3, queen e4. So maybe I should have considered knight d4. I guess knight d4, there's also bishop b5, c6, and then takes. No, but then knight c2, king f1, queen h4, queen h3. So why doesn't knight d4 work here? Knight d4, maybe there's knight f6, takes, queen here, queen c5, but then knight c2. Yeah, I don't know why knight d4 doesn't work, to be honest. It's unclear to me. I'm sure there's a reason why, but... Okay, he did play the annoying move of f3, so let's decide what we're doing here. I mean, the most natural, but then knight e8, knight e4 is just going to take. So, I mean, queen h4, g3, queen e4, there's queen f3, f6 takes. And it's still not a great position for me, so... Okay, I really need to decide what I'm doing here. And I feel like it has to be something like this, right? I feel like it just has to be, so I can get these queens traded off. And the pawn on f6 does stop this rook nicely. But again, there's potential for knight e8, and he's potentially threatening this pawn. So I just don't know. I'm really trying to figure out why knight d4 isn't just like really good black instead of g6. He said it's completely equal if you refute the trap, but I don't know why knight d4 is okay for white. It seems like it's actually really strong for black. Okay, yeah, now I want to go f6. I don't really want to waste the tempo also opening up this bishop. f6 is a good move for me to make anyway. it's going to be necessary, so I'm willing to not take this extra pawn. And okay, now I'm thinking bishop b7 because I really want to get knight b4, and if he goes knight b5, I'll just go knight b4, and getting here is really strong. Actually, after knight b5, I have queen c2, which is just mate. So yeah, this is maybe not a great move because now I'll be like, if takes, then knight b4, knight b5, and I'm the first one that gets in, which should be pretty good. I think I want to go c2 and then a6 just to keep some imbalance here. If I trade here, there's just no way I'm ever winning that game. So he can take here or here, but probably taking on c7, and then maybe rook to c8, and then trying to think about what I would do after knight takes e6. Maybe something like king g7. I don't know. I'm going to get b5 in at some point, and then try to get b4 in as well. Let's go ahead and go rook c8. You could also go knight e7, or knight e8 rather, with the idea of knight to c7. Okay, bishop a3, I'll just go b4. It's a move I want to play anyway. And I can do that because my a pawn is still restricting this bishop from potentially coming out. So yeah, let's go and get b4 in. Feeling okay here. I mean, good try to block off this rook. Yeah, we continue with d5. If here, I'll just take. Yeah, that's the move that I was a bit worried about. Because now after takes, there's knight to c7. But I think I have to allow this anyway. And maybe I can go rook takes c7. King g7. Although it's a bit scary. Interesting. Okay. Can I take advantage of this move with something like rook to c3? Yeah, I think rook c3 is the move. Now the only concern is maybe bishop to b2 though. I didn't actually consider that when I played it. The idea was if I went knight to e1, he could have gone bishop to c6. If I take, then he goes knight c7, and this rook is really close to coming here. Although maybe I could have just, I don't know. This seemed like the trickiest move, but yeah, bishop b2 or bishop d2 really. Either one. The idea is I want to go knight e1 with this tempo, and then there's no way to block it. But if he just moves his bishop, I guess he can't go to d2 because I would take, so he's got to go to b2, right? Oh, but then I on a1. Okay, I'm stupid. So this is probably the best move, actually. And there's no bishop d3 because then I'll take on e3. Okay, now I take. Should be winning this. He's got to go something like e4. I don't know why he wouldn't at least try to go e4 there. Okay, let's go for. I want to keep on stuff here. Let's go for something like f3, b4. I never played this. I don't know if I've ever played it before. I'm curious what he'll play against this here. Okay, let's go e4. Well, knight d4 loses to knight e5. Okay, lots of this bishop to b2 with ideas of knight to g5. There's also like knight d4, maybe forcing out. Yeah, let's do this. Takes, and then I'll go d4, and I'll just basically say, yeah, my position's superior to you. Maybe there's some knight e5 here. Instead, he goes for knight to h6. I think I'll just go h3. Knight e5, I guess I'd probably just take here. I guess the only thing is I'm not really threatening knight to b5 because of my pawn on b4 here. But I can go bishop to b2, and now still not really too many threats here. I want to go f4 as well, I think, just so that there's no way to come here with a tempo. Like after knight f5, he can't sneak in knight with this tempo, and I can't take because it explodes my knight. So if I go f4 first, then after knight f5, knight g4, then I can move it. Or probably g7 and then takes. d5 seems really strong for him here, but he doesn't play it. Don't really know why he wouldn't go d5. Seems like a really strong move, to be honest. Okay. Now, is this ever a move? I feel like it wouldn't work at all. Actually, maybe just f5. If takes, I can take, and I'm threatening queen h5, so he's got to play h5, and then maybe I have like knight b5. Okay. There's no bishop h6 that I have takes. This allows this, so maybe not. Let's go ahead and get these bishops traded off. Maybe a4 is the move. So then after takes, I can just go knight b5, and I don't need to worry about rook takes a2 at all. It finally does go d5, which I think is really smart. I think I have to take here. The nice thing is after takes in d4, this pawn is defending this pretty nicely so that there's no like queen infiltration immediately at least. b5, bishop b4. Potentially it takes and queen in a lot of pressure there. I kind of like that, but also is there some sense in just going ahead and playing d3 to stop him from playing d3? I think so. Playing d3 opens up potential here. So let's just go ahead and stop him from playing. Because like b5, he could have gone d3, putting a lot of pressure here. I've got to move the c pawn. I don't have any time for bishop a3. I mean, I guess b5 here, this is threatening to go bishop b4, and then I go c3. But then he would actually just have queen d4, which is mate. So yeah, it would have been kind of a sticky situation. So let's just play it slow with d3. Now we can get b5 in. And now after this, I could even consider bishop to c3. and not losing any material, but honestly, c3, what I think I want to play. Threatening this, and if he wastes a tempo taking, I think queen b3 might just be winning. Okay, now instead he's going for this. I need a g3 because I want to cut off any potential ideas on this diagonal. g4 just seems a little too ambitious, and I think I'm winning if he ever castles because I can go queen c1, g5, queen d1, g4, queen c1. A nice little tactic there. I don't think he can really stop. Actually, I take that back. If castles queen c1, queen d1, he would technically have queen e8, and then after queen h5 takes. So he can technically castle here, but it's a little bit scary for him to do so. I'd probably just play it slow with takes and up on this diagonal here. Okay, no, he's going for this instead. I'll be honest, I don't really know what this move is doing. His rook's not infiltrating whatsoever here. So this move does not seem too good. I guess maybe he didn't want me to castle and play king h1, but I think like bishop a3 and queen b3, I'm getting a lot of pressure here. The best is c5, I'm sure. Because if I play, yeah, and he plays it, of course. If I get to play queen b3, then after c5 and en passant, now I've got some threats here, but and now if I take, then he's the first one on here, so it's kind of frustrating. It's actually really annoying. I guess I'll go knight a3, basically forcing him to play c4. And then I can get this bishop on this diagonal here, and it's opening up rook c1 as well. So I'm basically forcing out rook c8, right? Because actually it continues, because I can even go after c4, rook c1, rook c8, knight c2. There's no take, because I'll just have rook take c8. So let's go rook c1. I'm sure we'll see rook to c8. And then I can probably go knight to c2. Okay, no, going for this instead. I can still go to 2 though. I'm fine with takes. I'll just go probably rook c6. Yeah, this g-pawn, like I said, is pretty clutch, blocking any ideas of getting on this diagonal. And now I'm threatening bishop a3 and coming in like this. Okay, interesting. I think the safest way is I could also take here and bishop c3, but okay. He's trying to get pretty tricky. Maybe I just... It's actually really difficult. I think e5. Because here I have bishop. I'm threatening to take now. Yeah, I could take this. If takes, I'm just gonna... Okay. He times out. Let's see if we can do more. I wanna... Alright. I'm going to check this. Okay. Let's get back to this trap here. And I will see if I'm right about knight d4. I think once I see the trap, I just want to figure out how to beat it. So he plays knight h5 here. Okay. So why can't I go knight d4 here? Let's really calculate. So let's look at all of his possibilities. I know he takes doesn't work, because that's just completely losing. Even after knight g3, I'd have queen f4. So I know he takes doesn't work. Knight g7 would lose to knight c2. So those are the two obvious moves. Queen f3, I take it. And then if knight takes g7, I think I should be okay in that position. I don't think it's too bad for me. So those moves don't work, which makes me think it has to be something starting with bishop b5, c6, and then let's reconsider. E takes still doesn't work. Queen f3 is actually even worse, because after it takes, then I'd have like queen h4, queen h3. So my idea is that it's got to be bishop b5, c6, and knight takes g7. And then after, no, it wouldn't work after knight c2, king f1. So maybe it's knight d4, knight takes, knight f6, takes, queen h4, g3, queen c5, bishop takes. But this can't be too bad, because this c-pawn is blocking his knight from getting out. So if we look at bishop b5, knight d4, bishop b5, c6, knight f6 takes, queen h5, g6. Maybe there's some queen h4 there. Maybe that's the idea. Okay, so knight d4, knight f6 here, queen h4, g6. Because it's coming with, but then I don't always have queen f6 in these lines, whether the bishop was here or not. I'm thinking it's maybe just queen f3. And after takes, and supposedly he's better here. I think it's going to be queen f3. It seems like the only logical move. I mean, maybe I would even have f5 there. Yeah, it is queen f3. Do I have any i5 though? Because after takes, here g3. I think it's going to be takes, actually. Really got to speed up. Yeah, I think I'll just take. Okay, his prep goes further. I don't know why 3 is the move. I didn't really like my bishop there, to be honest. Weird opening. Okay, so surely it's got to be takes, right? And he doesn't ever take. Okay, that's surprising. I'm going to actually elect to go for e7 here. If I go for g6, knight g7, king f8, there's still going to be this potential for knight e8 that I don't really like. So let's keep this pawn here. And let's just play around it. And let's really force him to go knight f6 and takes. I feel like knight takes g7 would have been fine. I don't know why he didn't go for that. I mean, I guess there's this bishop needs to have a perpetual, but I don't think I'm winning that. I think it's just a perpetual with best play. Start with b5. I want to get potential for maybe c5 in. Oh, I completely missed move. I think it's okay though. He's wanting to come here, but then I'll just try rook off for it. In fact, I don't even think I want to trade my bishop off for his rook. My bishop's going to really dominate him and blocking his f-pawn, so I have like c5 getting the queen out. And I want to keep on the board because I have the queen. I want to play queen b8. Yeah, he's going to try to get this bishop out though. Doing so successfully right now. I'm going to play d5. If e5, I'm going to take and just try to roll this d pawn down the board now. My plan's going to switch to that. Unfortunately, I don't really have any queen b8. He doesn't even have to play bishop f4. I'm just not threatening anything on this diagonal right now. So queen b8 is kind of out of the question. I kind of want to force him to push this pawn. Instead, I can actually take, and I'm threatening queen b6. And if bishop e3, probably just bishop to e4. And then I'm still threatening queen to b6. Oh, no, actually, bishop e3, it would be better to just even take. In fact, I can probably take now. I don't see what he does here. If castles, I can just go like queen d3. I'm putting pressure on his rook, and I'm threatening like queen f3, hitting this pawn. This is other idea 6, but I can just take or push, really. Yeah, and we should be good here. No matter where moves the rook, I can just go queen to f3, and I'm hitting this. There's no time for rook to d8. Really interesting opening. Really cool idea. I've never seen it before. I am very curious to see. Yeah, so he has been going for this trap bit, actually. Didn't realize that bishop b4 is such a common move here. I thought knight c6. Okay, yeah, knight c6 is the most common move. For some reason, a lot of people have just played bishop b4 against him. But normally what you would see after knight to c6 is bishop to b5. And after, my favorite move is knight to f6. And after takes, the computer says it's equal. But it feels, I actually go f5 here a lot, I think. Yeah, you can see I've got some quite a few games, actually. This is how I normally play it. And most people just, as you can see, trade off queen. And it just ends up being a pretty pleasant position for black, say after takes. Something like bishop to g7. And yeah, black has won almost every time. The computer's saying it's better for white, but after knight to b5, takes and takes. Black is just chilling here, but there's other ways to play it. You don't have to go f5. I sometimes play d6 as well, which apparently is terrible. I guess there's bishop b4 and then d6 is kind of how you're supposed to play it. But regardless, you go pawn and you have a decent position. But okay, Zach comes up with this really nice idea of knight to h5, which is very uncommon. And yeah, sometimes people just play knight b4 like I did, just completely losing to queen f3, 5 and takes. I don't know why I didn't see that the first. So bishop b4, clearly the best move. And then it's knight to d4. Okay, so what did I do? I played g6 the other. Wow, it's still completely losing. 27% of the time that gets played. So knight to d4, and then after queen f3, wow, everyone just takes here. After queen f3, okay, the best move is to take. And then the best move is knight to a3, but, okay, I'm curious about this. So after takes, okay, yeah, I did take g7. Yeah, it's kind of figured. Except for queen h4, g3, 4. Oh, okay, bishop e2 doesn't work. For some reason, this worked, but there's queen f5, and you're hitting this square queen h3. I didn't see that. I thought I'd just have to go back to e4 here, which actually would be completely losing, so... Okay, so not bishop e2, but rather bishop e5, and then going into this position. This would just be pretty drawish. Okay, so instead he likes to play g3 here. But now losing, and wow, did I play 97? Holy moly, that is a crazy find. I mean, 97 is not a move that you'd normally see on it. I'm actually really happy that I found that move. I mean, the idea behind it is you want to go g6. Like, oh, this threat on g7 is pretty powerful, especially after g3. If you go b5, now takes g7, and queen to a rook, bishop, and a pawn. And if white is able to start pushing these pawns here around his king, it gets really hard to make progress in atomic. I guess the open g-file maybe, but you don't even have to castle. You could just play rook to g1 here. So the idea behind it is if I play g6, which is kind of the tinting move, I figured that this would maybe black, and you can see it saying it is okay. But yeah, my main fear, as I stated in the game, was this knight to e8. I didn't really see what to do here. The computer is saying apparently there's queen g5. But really this queen is not threatening anything. I mean, you can't go queen b5 hitting this. So yeah, like even if black makes kind of a waiting, I mean, bishop d3 would be one to lose, you know, with threats of coming in. But I'm like d4 is okay. There's a lot of ways to lose here. but yeah, you basically are looking to trade queen off, and still an infiltrated knight here. So the best way to play is something like f3, which makes a lot of sense. And now you're just actually not going to allow this queen to get traded off. Oh, that's a clever idea. So after queen a5, you can't push the a pawn because of queen d5 hitting all of this stuff. So instead, you have to play something like this, allowing potentially takes. But now I guess you're just claiming that white has a lot of space here and is okay. But regardless, queen g5 is a pretty hard move to find. I mean, I'd be tempted to go like c6, but you see pawn because of knight d6. So I would go queen f6, and after takes, get to a position where I don't think black is much worse. Yeah, you could just go king g7, and I really don't think black is too much worse here. I mean, I think if I were white, yeah, I'd maybe come in like this. Yeah, and already the advantage is pretty much lost, so... regardless, I saw this, and I thought, I really don't want to go for this line, allowing knight to e8, and I knew if they didn't go knight e8, then black would probably be okay after something like knight to f6. Now black is the one starting to gain a little bit of space. I was thinking maybe there's some ideas to trade this knight off, but yeah, you're making some progress here. Now you have d6, knight e8, you can now go c6. So yeah, if they don't go knight e8 immediately, it gives you time, but if they go knight e8 immediately, it's this idea of you can't push the c pawn because then there's knight d6 and you're still losing the queen. So regardless, in this position, I realized that g6 was probably not the right move. I knew it probably wasn't terrible. I realized it was probably not the best move. And so, realizing that taking on g7 is quite a big threat, I just realized that knight e7 was probably the right idea. And again, this is a move that you would like never see in Atomic, but I'm pretty happy that I was able to find this move. Yeah, I guess d5 was potentially okay as well. Just trying to gain some space. I guess that makes sense. That seems like a pretty solid way to play. But okay, we went for knight e7, which was the best continuation. And he really just wanted, I figured he would go knight f6. Yeah, I guess b5 and d5 make a lot of sense. Well, like b5 opening this up, d5 maybe opening this up here. Either way, just pushing pawns in Atomic is very strong always. Yeah, after this, we were pretty much doing well. I guess bishop made sense. I wanted to go for bishop f3 to block this. So like say he did castle here. Yeah, exactly. I would have gone c5 and queen b8, pretty much no matter what he played. And something like this, and it's already forced mate. That's how I would have played. So that's why I played bishop to f3, and not only cutting off queenside castles, but really cutting off kingside castles as well. Just kind of keeping the king here and keeping this pawn. Seemed like the right way to play. I guess taking was technically better, but they both were fine according to the computer. Yeah, and then after that, there was, yeah, I was fine forced mate. So almost a flawless game. Let me run a computer analysis. It seems like almost a flawless game on my side. After really losing to the trap twice. Even in the second game, I played g6 here, which apparently is just much worse. I was still able to win this game. I think he played d4 here. And yeah, I was able to win this game after, I think I'd go for this, queen f3 and f6. And then he played knight a3, which then I played bishop to e7, I think it was. Oh, I missed this really nice idea, knight f5. If this is what we had in the game, I don't remember. But then I was able to get knight b4. But yeah, I pretty much lost to the trap because it just me 94% accuracy. That's what I like to see. Yeah, that I will say that 97 move is one that you don't normally see in Atomic, so I am pretty happy I was able to find that. And then same thing, I thought bishop f3 would have been the best move here, which was not like a move that you would really consider, but when you think about it, it's blocking off kind of both sides castling here for the reasons I explained. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you got able to learn something. I certainly learned something in this video, if nothing else, just how to beat this trap. But I think there's some pretty valuable principles that we can learn from these games. Well, I felt like every game was pretty fun. I guess the only other game I'd like to maybe very quickly look over is this idea that I went for. Yeah, this game I think I probably maybe flawlessly. Yeah, so I guess the idea is queen a3. f3, do you just take? Okay, now you go g3 here always. I'm curious yeah, so it's always just g3. G4 was the right. Okay, never mind, not a fault. Okay, wow, 95%. So it was actually pretty strong. Oh wait, but went through the whole game. Yeah, so maybe not. Still 92 though. Very nice game here as well. I was also considering this, but I think knight c6 was, yeah, still completely winning, I guess. I didn't feel like I was completely winning here. I totally missed queen a4. Don't know how I missed that. And then, okay, I missed queen a4 again, but at this point I should be completely winning. Yeah, that's a super fun. This move c4 is really good. Basically, bishop takes c3 here is not the most common move. But I was literally just looking at this position not too long ago, and as you can see, it's literally happened 9 times. So very uncommon position here. But I was considering this because I was looking at this line pretty in depth, and if you follow the main line, which is g6 and then castles and pawn to f5, and so then after king to 8, which is kind of f4 is the main move, but you kind of get advantage if you play f4. So h1 basically opening up this threat of knight b5. I knew after f4 you can just go knight to b5. And so my question here was like, okay, I was studying this literally a couple of days ago. Or no, it was yesterday I was studying what to do after bishop takes c3. And it's this really nice idea of c4 with ideas of queen to a4. And if they go b5, then bishop d2, a5, and then some ideas, okay, I guess you start with, but yeah, I think eventually the computer likes this idea of rook d1. Anyway, I was looking at these lines pretty in depth the other day, and if you don't go b5, if you play f4 to kind of get some counterplay on the king side here, then it's simply this idea that you saw in the game of queen a4. And kind of a weird way of, you don't normally see this a5 really being an option, but yeah, in this case, the best way to play is takes and takes. And there is something to be said here. I mean, it's a rook for a bishop and 2 pawns, not super clear, but I actually did quite a bit of prep in this position specifically. Like say knight f6 here takes. Here, bishop h6, c1, and basically rolling this c pawn down the board. There was more here. I had looked at this line pretty in depth just the other day, but regardless, hopefully you guys were able to learn something. This was definitely one of my more informative video. Thankfully, we were able to get a little bit of revenge on Zach Capiller after he just completely wrecked my other video. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys learned something, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.